Before this video gets started, I'd like to say if you haven't played Dark Souls 1 and do not want it spoiled, do not watch this video. Also, thank you to Fighting Cowboy on making walkthroughs. Without his help, I probably couldn't have made it all the way through. I know this video is long, so if you're here just by recommendation or looking for something to sleep through, welcome. Warning, though, I will be screaming in this video. However, if you can handle that, then welcome to my thoughts and recap of Dark Souls 1. This took so long to put together, but I'm happy I went through all the tough time so that I can give you my assessment on Dark Souls 1. Obviously, everyone's experience is different, and my experience will probably be different, and that's okay, because that's the great thing about Dark Souls. But now, before we get started, I'll let this intro play through.
This is your fate.
Starting out, we have the Asylum Demon, and it's obviously since I'm in New Game Plus, this boss is just a cheese boss. To be honest, not many of the early bosses should give you that much trouble on your first playthrough. It's more of a welcoming boss to the Dark Souls series. As you can see, the hammer is a weapon of choice, and honestly, as long as you stay behind him or just know when to roll and stuff, you shouldn't have that much hard of a time. Just wait for the perfect opportunity. Stepping out of the boss fight area and going right up the hill, you will be welcomed into this first cutscene, one of a few in Dark Souls 1. There aren't many, to be honest, but most of them are cool in my opinion because it gives each one a sense of their own importance and character individuality. Almost all the cutscenes play a key role in the storytelling of Dark Souls 1. However, this cutscene in particular is important because it takes us to where we seek to conquer.
Lordran.
So now we are in Firelink, and to start out our adventure, we will be heading to the Undead Parish, where we will be meeting with Havel and the second boss of the game, the Taurus Demon. Honestly, the Undead Burg and Parish aren't that difficult to run through, especially if you have the Master Key. You get access to a few items that will be helping along the way. It's a good way to kick off the game and show that this game isn't just any ordinary combat game. Havel is definitely an NPC that you should without a doubt be careful of. His attacks hurt a lot and he can be relentless with them, but with enough patience, you can beat him. On to the Taurus Demon. He is another one of those easy bosses due to the drop attack that takes so much health on impact. His axe will probably take your stamina, but with the drop attack and a little bit of patience, timing, and he will be another easy boss down. So on this boss fight, it's mainly just a small make sure to be aware when you are fighting in this game. This boss again isn't too hard. This is what I would call like the last of the tutorial bosses. Usually with this fight you could have Sunbro Solaire with you, so the boss fight wouldn't be as difficult. But I decided to go in alone for the experience of doing it alone. The main thing to look out for is their fire attack, but other than that, as I stated before, this will be an easy final tutorial boss. The fire attack is kind of annoying, but halfway through, another one comes in and tries to assist the other. But as I stated before, as long as you pay attention and wait for the perfect opportunity, you'll be clear the boss easy. Here is the next cutscene of the first bell being rang, Right here is where personally I think the tutorial ends. After this point, it's showtime. Either you get good or get gone. The baby boss fights from here are over. I decided after to go back to the asylum to get the rusted iron ring, which would be very important for later on in the game. But whilst I was there, our old friend Oscar unfortunately went hollow, as he said he would, and we had to put him out of his misery. Moving forward, we meet up with, in my opinion, the first real boss of the game, the Moonlight Butterfly. With the help of the witch Beatrice, due to me being a strength decked build, the Moonlight Butterfly wasn't that bad. But I can say that this boss, the Gargoyles, and the Taurus Demon have something in common that I disagree with that I will explain later in the video. Now, if you've ever played Dark Souls 1, you know what's coming next. One of my favorite but saddest boss fights of this game. So I'm just going to let the intro play through. This is Great Grey Wolf Sif. Try saying that 5 times fast. Sif is one of the best boss fights in Dark Souls in my opinion, because even if you have never seen Sif or played the DLC, you feel like there's something of a remorse because of the actions of killing an animal that is just seemingly like minding its business until you come along disturbing what looks like a gravesite. But either way, this is Dark Souls, so he has to die. Now we make a quick stop to face the first Hydra. Honestly, it's more getting to it that's the problem, to be completely honest. The water attack they have, if you're not careful, will without a doubt kill you because it does a lot of damage. Even if you're blocking it, it will definitely take all your stamina and a little health. But once you're down there, just start chopping heads off and it will be game over for them. Furthermore, we have one of the bosses that doesn't quite make sense to me why it's there, but the Capra Demon can be quite difficult on your first playthrough due to the dogs and the double blade attack. But with like all the bosses like him, just wait for the right time, approach with caution, and he will die. Although this isn't a boss, I would like to consider him one as like a mini boss because his attacks and how much damage he does. As long as you keep out of the side of the mouth, you should be fine. You should kill it within no time. As you can see, I'm struggling a bit to kill him, but I get him shortly after that. Now, I'm ready to proceed ever so lower into the depths, where I can get my first Dark Spirit encounter with Knight Kirk. Now, what is special about Kirk is his armor. He can hurt you if he rolls at you. He is one of the main Dark Spirits you face in Dark Souls 1. As you can see here, he tried it there, but I was already aware that it might be his first attack, and I knew how to get around it. I'm setting myself up here so I can get a parry and a riposte. With a parry and a couple of hits, Kirk is no more. Moving forward, we meet up with the next boss of the game. And this boss is quite funny due to the name it's given. Now you think, oh yeah, this is probably a hard, scary boss. It can't be memed on. What are you on about? As it's lurking up and coming towards you with its long body, weird walk, and design, then you see the wings and then out of just like out of nowhere, you're like, okay, here we go, and then boom, just a whole vagina monster right there in your face. There you go. I do have Sunbro Solaire and Lotric help me with this just for the sake of memes and giggles because I can't take this boss seriously. As you can see, I take the tail and proceed to finish it off so no one else has to see that thing ever again. Now we are headed down to Blighttown, where the one objective is to leave Blighttown because no one likes Blighttown. That's it. No one likes it. I thought this was nice kind of put in. I somehow, without knowing, just hit the toxic creature without seeing anything, so I thought that was kind of cool to put in. Now that we were at the bottom of Blighttown, you can see why not many people like it. The poison, the bugs can be annoying, but we have also a bit of a clinger here. But with the rotation, I believe he is off and we're ready to proceed. Man-Eater Mildred decided to spawn in and try to kill us, along with a firebug. But they both showed that they were nothing more than just a regular enemy in the way of our goal of leaving Blighttown. Up next is Chaos Witch Quelaag, and with the help of Man-Eater Mildred, I was able to defeat Quelaag within little time. The hard part about this boss is the fire attacks and the lava attacks that she does, but if you can just get around that, then you should be golden. With the second and final bell rung, we can now proceed further into Loldran and see what other terrors await us. Here, in my opinion, is where things really gets to start being difficult. Starting out with everyone's favorite place, Sin's Fortress. Sin's Fortress, to me, honestly, isn't that difficult. You just have to be extremely careful. You can't just hop in here and start swinging. No, you have to take your time, really look at what's going on, because one wrong move and it's death. With the boulders and the enemies of this place, it isn't for the faint of heart. You have to be willing to play the slow ball, because one wrong move and it's pretty much all the way back to Andre. Here we get to see one of the giants in this place. What is significant about this one though is this is the one that pulled the door open for us, and this is how we are going to repay him. Here we are with one of, in my opinion, the most bosses in the game. The Iron Golem. He's really like a boss that you can one attempt easy. However, the reason why he's like this is the player is having to go through the fortress and all the other stuff to get to him, so I can excuse this boss. This cutscene is one of my favorites due to like the suspense factor. You have no idea what is to come at all. You see your player be surrounded by these flying creatures, and then all of a sudden they're starting to like close around you, and then they grab onto you, and they just start lifting you up, and then they carry you to somewhere, because you're like, whoa, what's going on? Like I don't know I don't understand what's happening. Are they gonna drop me or what? And then out of nowhere, just boom! And in Orlando and 60 FPS, baby, 1080p, and then you fucking look down on the sun and everything's in bright, and then all this spectacular shit, and it's it looks so fucking good, and then they just drop you, and then it's in Orlando, so yeah. Another gargoyle. Now I get that this game is trying to show you like, oh wow, how we've grown since the start, which is okay. But for me, if I face something that is at one point was like a boss, I don't want to look at it again, because then to me it loses like a sense of importance. And that is something that happens quite often in this game, starting right here. Now it's time to partake in what a lot of people believe to be one of the hardest boss fights in the Dark Souls trilogy. This is Ornstein and Smough. This boss fight for a lot of people is hard, and completely honest, it can be, but mainly knowing the moves and getting the timing down is important. So here we just killed Smough, and Ornstein is going to get a buff which will shift us into phase 2 of this boss fight. As you can see, he killed Sunbro Solaire, and we can't die now. That would be a disgrace to Solaire. So here, we take a moment, roll back, and heal, and proceed back to finish Ornstein as he finished Solaire in this fight. With a couple attacks and a few rolls and some weird hitboxes, we got vengeance for Solaire and killed Ornstein. I thought I would add this scene in just due to how ordinary it is. You think that this skeleton is like a boss or something as he's walking towards you, right? He's got a nice, beard stuff on. But then out of nowhere, he just takes his pickaxe and hits the wall and then just says,
Be gone with you. You'll spoil my focus.
now this boss, I tell you, is the hardest boss of all Dark Souls games. Fume Knight, Alone Samurai, Soul Cinder, even Gwyn doesn't even hold a finger to how hard he is. He will test your patience, your will, and your anger. He has 3 heads on him. And once killed, you get one of them, and you get one of the 3 different abilities by killing him. But the thing that's the hardest thing to do. His arena is just so small to fight in. And you see he's splitting up, and he just all kinds of fire attacks, and just it's so hard to do, man. Like it's so frustrating. Look at you. I'm just having such a hard time to kill him now. He's just he's so hard. I mean he's not taking enough damage, and it's just because I'm so good at this game that I'm able to one attempt him. That's just what I'm just really good at this game. That's how. I headed back to the asylum for the last time, in this area at least, to defeat the Stray Demon. As you could see, I clearly wanted to to this boss. It was so easy. He didn't even stand a chance, bro. It was look at that. He died so easily. No problems at all. Just easy, bro. I then, after beating the Stray Demon, picked up the doll and went for Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn is basically just a femboy. That's all. Honestly, isn't even that difficult. Only thing that's really weird about that boss fight is the halls just keep getting longer and longer, and he runs back, and the magic he throws is really the only just complicated part about it. So we don't even give him the time of day in this review. Like we just keep running back. That's it. That's all he does, and we basically just keep pushing forward. That's really it. He has nothing about him that's interesting. He's just a guy in female clothes. Now, does Gwen have something to do with that? Yeah, but it's better if we just calm a fanboy and then move forward, so, yeah. In the painted world, on the way to the boss fight, this is what I like to call a zombie dragon, due to the poison it spews and the way its skin looks, but you have to be very careful, because one wrong move and it will throw you off of the arena. And obviously, gravity and Dark Souls never mixes well, but with it dead and out of the way, we can travel forward to the boss fight. Priscilla is one of the unique yet weird bosses in Dark Souls 1. She goes invisible, and how you see where she is at, you look at the snow on the ground and attack where you see footprints. However, make sure to pay close attention because the scythe that she has can do a lot of damage, and if you aren't ready and aren't full of health, you will die without a doubt. Also, a fun fact, her scythe in Dark Souls 3 is actually a spell called the Life Hunt Scythe, which you attack and you get health back from it. From here, we are basically at the 3/4 mark of the game, and it's time to face the Lords and get ready to defeat Gwyn. Now here is where, in my opinion, things actually get exciting and fun, yet very challenging and frustrating, because things have already been racking up, and it's like the end game of this game. Like, no more clowning around, it's time to get serious, it's like it's showtime. Starting off, we have the Four Kings, and honestly, this is nothing more than a DPS check. Like, the more damage you do, the better off you're gonna be. If you don't have the Crest Shield, you're gonna have a bad time, but nonetheless, if you keep your patience and keep your health up, you will eventually get it. With the first soul achieved, we're ready to hit the other three lords, but first we must travel to the areas to get them, which brings us to Ceaseless Discharge. He's such a weird mid-tier boss, like I wouldn't consider him a boss, but his death does make the area accessible, so I guess you could call it a boss if you wanted to, but personally I don't. Kirk decided to come back and give a second shot at killing me, but as always, with a parry and a singular hit afterward, Kirk once again failed his mission. The demon's fire sage is basically just the asylum demons, except he is on fire, and his attacks seem to do a lot more, so there's nothing really, unique about this one. It's just pretty much just a copy and paste with a different element added onto him. The centipede demon is so weird for me, because the difficult part about this is the lava and the ranged attack he has. Other than that, he's not that hard, but for someone who's new to the game, not knowing the move set, he could definitely be a bit of a pain. Once again, Knight Kirk thought he could get us again. He seems to get more confident every single time he invades us, but like all the other times, the parry with me is just too strong, and he falls for it every single time. Now we are in the bed of chaos, and honestly, getting down here is more annoying than the actual boss fight. Cause you can die and you have to travel all the way back to the bonfire, and the bonfire is quite a distance from the boss fight. But the boss fight honestly is relatively easy. Obviously, as soon as you knock down the two shields and all that, the floor comes in, which can lead to some surprise deaths by gravity. But once you get to the middle and past the holes in the floor, it's pretty much just a cheese battle. That's literally one hit. Now, we are in the Crystal Caves with some Moonlight Butterflies, which, as you know from earlier, is a boss for me, and as I said before, it loses its importance because here it isn't hostile. Now, we are here in my favorite Lord battle, so I'm just going to let this intro play through. This is Seath, the Scaleless. I love this Lord battle due to just how much it stands out. This Lord is not easy, however, just the feeling around the boss, like the tone of the battle, is oddly satisfying to me. I don't really know why, but I love it. I came down to Ash Lake to beat the second and final Hydra of the game. And this one, if you know how the first one is done, to be completely honest, will be easy and done within no time at all. This last Lord battle I love, but I also strongly hate due to the journey back after you die from him. I believe out of all the bosses I died to, Nito was the most that made me rage the hardest. But once I killed him, I felt the most satisfied feeling. But that's what's good about this boss fight. However, the skeletons that join in on fighting you, they are so annoying because you're trying to fight Nito and his magic attacks can be just a big yikes. And then also the attack where the blade will shoot out of the ground and it hits you. That's really annoying. But after a while, you get the hang of it and you just know when to roll. And after that, you're pretty much golden after that. Now, I'm ready to go to Oolacile, and meet the rest of Gwyn's knights and defeat the Father of the Abyss himself, Manus. Starting off the DLC, we have the Sanctuary Guardian, which is one of the most useless bosses out of all the bosses. There's real no perk from beating him besides the poison tail weapon. Coming up is my number one favorite boss fight in this game, so I'm just going to let the intro play through. This is Knight Artorias, one of the most challenging boss fights in this game. He is quick, he jumps around, his attacks pack a punch. You can't goof around Artorias because one wrong move and all your health could be gone in an instant. And after that, you would have to make the semi-long walk all the way back. But as long as you play it safe, wait for the right time to attack and or heal, and he will be done and you will be on your way. The dragon that Golf shot down is who we are fighting now. Kalameet is one of the most difficult bosses to beat, and some say the hardest in Dark Souls, due to that he has a Calamity Ring based attack, in which it makes you take twice as much damage as you normally would, for a limited amount of time of course. His fire attacks can do a lot of damage as well as the charge attack, but once you know the startup of all his moves, Kalameet shouldn't be that difficult afterwards. Here, we are at the finale of the DLC. After this boss fight, the end of the game. After all the bosses we have gone through, this one is the most unique, due to a special NPC you can spawn in to help with you, as well as an item to block a certain type of attack. Speaking of the bosses, this is the Father of the Abyss, Manus. This boss fight is kind of difficult due to the fact that he has a juggle combo that does a lot of damage. But we have the puppy version of Sif to help us with this boss fight to avenge Knight Artorias, and with a silver pendant to help us to deal with the dark damage. But if you just pay attention to the moves, Manus, just like all the others, will fall victim to your blade. At this point, I was trying to see if Sif would finish him, but I seen that he was about to die, so I finished him so Sif wouldn't have to die, and just like that, the Father of the Abyss was no more. With the DLC completed, and all 4 lords defeated, and their souls being put into the Lord Vessel, Gwyn's prison doors were finally open, and we are ready to defeat and take the title as Lord of Cinder. After all the bosses we have went through, Gwyn is the final boss of the game. He is the protector of the First Flame, and obviously we are here to defeat him to be the next guardian of the First Flame. Or are we? I love this fight because Gwyn is parryable, which makes this boss fight so incredibly easy. I'd argue to say almost cheese, to be completely honest. But I love the fight due to the music that plays when you fight Gwyn. The sounds the piano plays, the same patterns, you get this sense of, I'm here, I've done it. But also a sense of sadness. It's like I'm here to become what is next after. I've come so far, and yet I don't even know what is promised. I've defeated all 4 lords, tackled 2 of Gwyn's knights, and defeated the Father of the Abyss himself. but at what cost? What happens from here? How will the rest of the story shape out? How will Lordran be after this? And importantly, what will happen to my player? This is the end of Gwyn, and the start of something that will linger until there is nothing left, entering the Age of Dark. I've had a wonderful time playing this game again. If you stuck around, I thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this just as much as I did making this. It was definitely wild to see how much the game's difficulty has rose in New Game Plus, but through all the odds, I beat it again, and even finished the Artorias build I wanted. If you want more info on bosses and NPCs, YouTube is a perfect place to look. Though the lore of Dark Souls is quite patchy, so it leaves up for great speculation and theory. But with Gwyn dead a second time, and the first flame left, the journey in Lordran is over. But our journey is far from over.